Assalamualaikum, selamat sejahtera. So kita sambung chapter yang ketiga, message integrity. So inside this chapter 3 we have authentication technology, the design weaknesses in authentication mechanism. We want to discuss this a few authentication mechanism and how the terms of authentication and security issues such as brute force, verbose, failure message, the naming or identity convention for username and password. So the last one we are discussing about the implementation flaws in authentication with fail open login mechanism, defect in multi-stage login mechanism, insecure storage of credential. Okay, on this chapter, for the lab activities, okay, we're going to do some demonstration on this, if time permit. And most of the discussion here is how we look this implication on the authentication. Okay, the first one is authentication technologies. Okay, HTML form-based authentication, username, password is very typical. See, the 90% of apps using name and password. If you do your application, web-based application project, okay, normally you have this first interface requesting the username and password. Multi-factor mechanism such as those combining password and physical tokens. This is when you need to identify whether this traffic light, bicycle from the image, and the need to installing client as a certificate or a smart card. Okay, HTTP basic and digest authentication, Windows integrated authentication using NTLM or Kerberos, and authentication services. Authentication services, we have a third party or another website that handle authentication, especially if you want to isolate your network and using a VPN. For example, office in UTHM Pago and office in UTHM main campus in Parit Raja. So employees need to use particular information inside the network. So instead of normal authentication, we can hire some companies or third-party authentication implementation to secure our connection between two network, Pagu and Parit Raja. That is just one example. Okay, two factors. Okay, two factors. This is an example of HSBC internet banking. Okay, before this they use this, but right now I think it is an optional because other customer just refer to use regular password instead of using this token. Okay, you know how it works? Okay, when you are using when HSBC account holder try to access their account in HSBC online, so they're using username and password, and they need to add a number that will be generated from this device. So the HSBC devices can produce 6 or 4 digit, depend on the configuration. So this is two-factor authentication or more. Okay, I guess in previous chapter, in chapter 1, I already mentioned about this. So some other example is code sent to SMS, code sent to email, code sent to WhatsApp. Okay, and then you need to use that code and then complete the authentication so that you can use the web application. Okay, the cryptographic method is actually client-side SSL certification. Okay, it's a smart card, a more expensive and higher overhead. Okay, cryptographic methods. We have all of these cryptographic algorithm, whether it is 60-bit, 128-bit, it depend on the configuration. Okay, it's actually a mathematical exhaustive. So that means need to have some performance issue, but it is not really big problem right now because of the high end of the devices. So HTTP authentication, it is basic, digest, and Windows integrated, rarely used on the internet, more common in intranet, especially Windows domain, so authenticate employees can easily access the secure resources. I just mentioned this situation, especially on intranet. Okay, I am going to use the same example when people in Pago or staff in Pago and staff in Parit Raja, okay, they want to use their accessibility and data, so you can use HTTP authentication. So third-party authentication, do you maybe remember, or maybe you use like Spotify, for example? Okay, you can use your login, Facebook login, Google login, okay, or Microsoft Passport to use as a login. No need for you to register to their web application. Okay, you can use third-party authentication or a credential for the login purposes. See, this is the example. A slide share. Okay, slide share you can use using a LinkedIn and Facebook. Instead of you may register in SlideShare, but it is an optional for you to use Facebook as your login authentication. So this one, okay, this is the third party authentication. So that means you're using login with Facebook to log in to SlideShare. Okay, same to log in with LinkedIn. Or maybe, okay, you can register and have a personal account with SlideShare. It depends on you. So what is the advantage of this? Okay, the advantage of this is you are using the API of authentication mechanism from Facebook or LinkedIn to secure your website. Okay, in case if you have a problem to create filtering, to create authentication header for the web page. Okay, maybe you can use Facebook login API to solve your problem for the accessibility. Okay, this is the Facebook login overview. This is just an example. So the design weakness. Move to part 2. Okay, design flaws. Bad password. It's very short or blank. This is a very common mistake. Common destination word or names, simple words, the same as the username. Okay, and then still set to a default value. Okay, the worst part is your username is your password. Okay, and also your password is password. Okay, your password is administrator, your password in 123 or default 123. Okay, something that is easy for you to remember but easy for attackers to guess. So this is the hack step. Okay, you may read this. Okay, brute force attack. So brute force attack. Okay, what is the terms of the brute force? Okay, brute force is refers to trying every possible combination of character. Okay, we can have this built-in function or function to do the guessing if the process is very slow because they run the algorithm for guessing, but it's depend on the algorithm whether it is smart or whether it is brute forcing. That means they try every possible password. The normal practicality that being employed by the hackers is at least a common password. So they have this set of data, okay, maybe in a text or maybe in a form of a database, to run and check. So how do you want to defend this? It is easy, okay, with account logout rules after too many failed login attempts. Okay, for example, right now it's very sensitive. 3 to 5 times you try and it also already blocked. Okay, maybe you have a message or maybe you try to log into your account for social media, for example Facebook, and then suddenly you cannot log in, and then you claim that you have the right password. Okay, maybe someone try to hack into your account and they try using a brute force technique, but it is not successful because your account is already blocked. So you need to unblock it, make an it's not extra authentication process again. So I'm going to discuss that later. Okay, this is some sort of an example. Okay, I took this uh, from internet. You may try that. This is a lecturer from some college in United States, I believe. So you maybe try. There's a lot of tools and information available. Okay. So poor attempt counters, cookie containing failed login equal to 1. Okay, failed login counter held within the current session. Attacker can just withhold the session cookies to defeat this. So that means after 1 second, they can redo back again. Okay, sometimes a page continues to provide information about password correctness even after account logout. So this is the bad thing. That means the information is still there. The information is still there, and sometimes verbose message failure. So that means it giving a hint to the hackers. Okay, insecure lockout. See this one. Okay, what is the problem with this? Okay, they're still mentioning Dumbo and then username Grumpy. Okay, so that means the information is still there. Okay, when you are logged out, the message that you provide is normally is a static page. So the static page content username is not a good practice. For example, if you want to put goodbye, thank you, that's it, that's enough. Don't need for you to mention the username because it can be tracked by the hackers or any other people. All right, so you may try this demo. Okay, what is this actually? Okay, see this. Okay, your it mentioned the username and password. It's very I may say it is stupid. Okay, and then the worst part is the username and password is the same. All right, so please avoid this. Okay, you may that is why the authentication module, a login module inside a web application is very hard to implement. So you need to see and need to look at all aspects to combat all of this attacking. The easiest way you are using is please using an authentication process that provide by the well-known website API, for example, Facebook. Of course, it may hard to deal with Facebook. Maybe that they charge you, but it's in terms of security, it's maybe a good advantage. Okay. All right. Verbose failure message. Well, what's actually the verbose failure message? It's a friendly for legitimate users, but helpful for the hackers. Okay, you see this. Password is incorrect. So that means the username is alright, good, but the password is incorrect. Okay, user is not recognized, so that means the username is incorrect. Maybe the password is okay. It's depend. It's depend. Verbose failure message. That means okay. This is not clear. Okay, let's see other example. All right, this one. Okay, see. Um, okay. Oops. Okay. Please enter the contact email address you provided when you create your user ID to register your account online. What's the problem with this? They give the hint. Then they give the information what should do. So they try to put the email address and try to gain the access. Maybe then he if he already get the accessibility from the email. So that means the verbose message mean the message is not supposed to be there. Okay, sometimes developer not realize the problem with this. Okay, we try to have a good human computer interaction application with user, but it's actually a advantage of the attackers. Remember this. Okay, friendly for legitimate users, but helpful for attackers. Okay, this is some example of a script that used to find a phone number. So they try to use this as as long as it is possible to get an information. Okay, we don't know actually. This can be done by robot. It's not an actual robot. It's a program that can run repeatedly and then store the information and transmitting it into a black or a dark server so that hackers can compile this information. Okay. So once again, the username, the importance of the username. Okay, attacks that reveal valid username are called username enumeration. Not as bad as finding a password, but still a privacy intrusion. Okay, well, if you get the username correct, it's actually some of the privacy intrusion. Okay, if you most of the developer or the program itself store all of this inside the text log, for example, displaying the username. Okay, and I'm not saying that um, it is bad, okay, but it still have a privacy intrusion. So that means, for example, your username as a students of UTHM, of course I know it's based on your ID. Okay, your ID is floating around in the internet. Okay, we cannot we cannot combat this because nowadays everything is network, like I mentioned in the earlier chapter. So your information is actually floating around inside the cloud, in the internet. For those who are expert in this grabbing all of this information that flying over the Wi-Fi, flying over the internet or cloud, okay, they can use that to manipulate the information. Vulnerable transmission of credential. Okay, eavesdroppers may reside on the user's local network, within the user's IT department, with anything, and it's not anything, anywhere. So what is the eavesdroppers? Okay, an application or anything that inside or within your network that have this information and pass it around. So that is the eavesdroppers. HTTPS risk. If credentials are sent encrypted, the eavesdropper task is trivial, but even HTTPS can prevent this risk. Credentials is sent in the query string are likely to appear in server log and browser history and log or reverse proxy. Many sites take credentials from a post and then redirect it to another page with credential in the query string. Okay, the information that you are carrying, that is why you need to delete all the cookies, okay, inside your web browser. That this is the one of the example. Okay, you think that after you log out, okay, something is not inside your PC or inside the web browser or inside the server. Okay, most of this thing is appear in server log somehow, browser history. Okay, so from this, hackers or attackers can pull out the information and then store it anywhere for maybe for future use, or maybe for future attacking, or to complete the attack. Okay, so the cookie risk. Okay, web apps may store credentials in cookies. Even if cookies cannot be decrypted, they can be reused. Okay, you know what is this? Okay, they copy the cookies. They copy the cookies. It's not the cookies that you eat. Okay, the cookies inside the web browser, and then store it, even though it is decrypted. Even though it is encrypted. Okay, but they will use the same to use the same web application that you accessed before. So many pages open a login page via HTTP and use an HTTPS request in the form. This can be defeated by a man-in-the-middle attack like SSL strip. Okay, what is this? Okay, SSL strip. Okay, they're going to make it HTTPS become HTTP by using a man-in-the-middle attack. So man-in-the-middle attack is actually something in between, so make it look legitimate. Somehow it's actually can harm your system or your web page or anything. All right, that's why it's named like SSL strip, because it's want to strip SSL. So S here is secure. Without S is not secure, but actually both of them is not secure. It depends on how the attackers attack or do harm to your web page. Okay, password change functionality. Okay, password change functionality. Maybe you receive an email, receive a notification, you need to update the password, and sometimes the administrator keep changing the mechanism of creating a password. So it's actually one of the technique that prevent from the illegal accessing to the web application. What is wrong with this? Hold on. Okay, I think I have a problem when I change the layout. So I stop here at password change functionality. Okay, I will continue onwards with the next class. Okay, if you have any question, you may ask me directly or post anything in WhatsApp or Otter. Thank you.